my favorite kind. Somebody else's.
I like
Eric.
I don't have a vote, so.
Okay, we should be live. Should have live mics just to let you know.
The B municipal lager one. Yeah. He's like top notch. Yeah.
I guess we did. About a minute or so, we'll start up.
Hey, thanks. You're welcome. I thought you might want me.
Why do you have a camera? On my picture too.
Oh, I can do it on my phone. Good idea. Well, then I can help us cut. Get you too.
All right. I'd like to call to order this committee of the whole meeting for Tuesday, February 4th. Can I get a roll call, please?
Boyk.
Here.
Stubby.
Here.
Burgess.
Here.
Prisball.
Here.
Dirty. Nigber.
Here.
You have 5.
All right, we do have a quorum. Move right on to item number 2, which is seating virtual attendees. I do not believe we have anybody. I can't see that far, but
no.
Okay. Number 3 then is general public comments. It requires a card, and I have not received any. So on to item number 4, approval of minutes. And the recommendation is to approve the minutes from the January 7th, 2025 regular session and closed session of the committee of the whole.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes. I'll second.
Motion and second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, minutes are on record. Item number 5 then is the presentation of appreciation plaque to Fire Chief Bob Pagel. Poggles. sorry, I had a Bob, but I do have, this is for 45 years with the city, and I know the fire department, I believe, already did theirs, but the city wanted to make sure that you knew it's from us too. So we got our own if you'd like to come up. And
Oh,
are you gonna do it? Okay. What would you like to do, Bob?
Thanks for all your work, Bob. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great job.
You can look at Paul first.
Bob, enjoy retirement. Yes.
Yeah.
4 days in now. You're 4 days in now, right?
Yep.
Oh, Bob, and he came back. Bob, did you want the cover for that?
Oh.
I don't think you
Oh, yeah, he'll hang it up.
I don't think you want.
Did you want the cover for it so it doesn't get scratched? Thanks again. Thank you. Appreciate it. Have a good night. All right. Item number 6 is to review the proposals for legal services. We have 2 from Dempsey Law and Municipal Law and Litigation Group. And we have representatives, I believe, from each. All right. And so we're reviewing the proposals. We can ask questions. I believe you guys are okay if we ask you questions if needed. And I think what we'll do is if you have a question, we'll have both answer the one after the other. Is that okay with you guys?
I guess however you want to do it.
chatting and thinking maybe if we, I would step out to talk to Lee and then.
Okay, we can do that too.
When we're done with Lee, I would come back. I don't know if that's
Oh,
how you want to handle it.
I'm okay with either way. If that's good with you guys, we can do that. That's fine.
Sure. So I'll,
thank you.
All right. All right. Thank you, Eric. Yeah, if you would come up and grab the mic there. You gonna grab the door? Yeah, I appreciate it. Unless he's just going so you're not nervous.
Lee.
Just making sure. So Lee, you are Dempsey Law, correct?
Correct.
All right, just want to make sure we have it right here.
Well, good thing you got that right on the first try.
Just making sure. All right. So I don't know if you've had a chance to read through. I have, and didn't know if you guys had any specific types of questions you were asking, because we are switching kind of how we're handling the attorney. Or Matt, if you have a question also.
No?
Okay.
Jesse, you came up with a question?
Yeah.
Yeah, there is a list here. If you guys would like to ask, you're welcome to. And I believe everybody got 2 copies, so they can put answers down on each.
Yeah, I have more if you need more.
Do you want me to run these down, or are there specific ones you guys would like to ask?
Maybe do the rundown.
Okay. So Lee, let's start with, could you introduce yourself, please?
Sure. My name's, my good, you can just hear me anyway?
Well,
Or do you want it like that?
The online, it's sometimes hard to
TV.
do.
All right.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll step back. So my name's Lee Taroni. I'm a attorney. I'm based out of Wausau right now. But I do work basically statewide. I have some clients all over the state, and we do some ad hoc work all over the state. A little bit of insurance defense, don't do much of that, but some litigation type stuff, so you get around a little bit that way. So I've been an attorney. This summer it'll be 20 years. So I had a judicial clerkship for 2 years, and then I was at the Wisconsin Towns Association for a long time. That's basically the equivalent to the league, but for towns. And in that role, I traveled statewide constantly as well. So I've been around here before. I've been pretty much everywhere in the state. So after I left that, I went to private practice and been representing municipalities in that role. So as the direct municipal attorney at the association, that was a lot more education-based. I would travel the state and teach local officials areas of law they should know, keep them up to date in legislation. I was a little bit of a lobbyist for that, so I got to see the legislative process, which is a different role than being a municipal attorney, which is what I've done for about 9 years now. So similar to Eric, in private practice to do municipal law, you need a stable of smaller municipalities that can't afford to have someone in-house. That's exactly what we do. And I've known Eric forever. We just had a little gentleman's agreement when we saw each other, so no big deal. I'm pleased for him to be my competition. That's great to me. I've almost made it if I'm in the same room with Eric. So, I don't know, any questions?
Yeah, we kind of have a list, but I have one that's maybe not on here. With other municipalities, do you typically do like a since you're obviously not from here, is it more of a virtual presence, in person, maybe a combination? How does that typically work if you're not from the area?
Even when you're in the same county, it's mostly emails and phone calls, right? So I make the trip if I need to make the trip. There's some things where you'd have to, right? So you got to have a due process hearing to run. There's various things where you really need to be there. And if that comes up, then I do that. But it could be in the same county, and you're mostly on the phone and pushing emails back and forth. So hasn't been an issue for me to do it. I've been driving around the state for many years, so it doesn't doesn't faze me very much.
So on the list of questions, the second one you may have already answered, but just in case you want to add anything, it says, can you describe your experience in municipal law and how it applies to this position? You've kind of gone through, but anything more?
Went through it a little bit, yeah. I mean, what I do now is pretty much what you need someone to do for you. I just do it for other people. I have worked for towns, cities, villages, special purpose districts. I've had to do some utility stuff. I think your administrator used to be in Oshkosh. Are you aware of that big mental health institution issue with the water with Oshkosh?
When,
No?
yeah, when did it?
It's done now.
Oh.
You know-
I was in transit when I was in Oshkosh most recently.
Oh, okay. Okay. I did that. It was a very, very tough project because it was a joint city, town, and then I had to create a sanitary district to be the utility. And that involved, we had to get grant funding from DOA. DNR is involved. PSC, you have to get everything done through PSC. It was just an incredible project. Took like probably 3 years. But yeah, I got that done. So that was like a 30-year problem. Probably longer than that, actually. It's kind of a 100-year problem. But I've been bothering people for 30 years. And so it was really nice to get that done. It was a big project. So, but, you know, regular utility stuff I do as well. Clean water loans, different things like that.
Okay. Number 3, how would you handle a situation where city officials wanted to pursue a course of action that you believed was legally questionable?
Well, you have to advise them of that. And your clients don't always do what you advise. So that's, you know, part of what it is. And they're in a different role than the attorney. I'm trying to be all technical, but at the end of the day, that local official is there for a reason. They represent the people that elected them, and they will have some sensibility about what to do that you don't have as the attorney. That's true in any community. So I don't want to say I'm fine with it, but I mean, I'm used to it. I just try to advise people and make sure it's clear. But ultimately, that's who makes the decision. It's not my role to make the decision at all. It's my role to advise and to execute. So that's how I view it.
All right. And what strategies do you use to stay current with changes in laws and regulations that may affect the city?
Well, I go to all the League of Municipality attorney conferences. That's partly why I know Eric. Your attorney looks familiar. I think I've seen you there, right? Yeah. I also do all the Towns Association attorney conferences. They do a smaller one, but I do a lot of town law as well. Even though there's a lot of the same laws, they have different applications you'll find in these different venues, or there's a different emphasis on things in different places, which, you know, if you have an obscure thing to you, maybe I've done that 10 times in a town, right? Big land use issues, it's different, but it's still a lot of the same issues or laws behind it, if that makes sense. So yeah, I do all that. You know, I read my newsletters. And I'm not the only person at the firm that's a municipal attorney. There's 4 or 5 of us right now that we all just do government law. So I'm able to keep in touch with my peers in the firm. And, you know, we were sending a bunch of emails just today on different things. So yeah, I'm not on an island like that, which is nice. I can confer with a colleague. Have you heard of this? Done that? What do you think? So we all do that. So that's pretty much how I keep current.
Okay. And how do you prioritize your caseload to ensure timely resolution of legal matters?
That's kind of like a rodeo you get used to. You gotta be very, you know, good with your calendaring. Okay. And you got to know what's an absolute and what's not. I I don't ask for a lot of extensions. I just try to get things done. I'm not one of these procrastinators. Because I don't want to forget about something. I want to get it done. So that's how I don't worry about it, because I get it done. And then move on to the next thing. And I ask the client, what's your timeline on this? I ask all the time, what's your timeline on this? When's your next meeting? So I know when they need it done by. That's mostly how I manage it. If you're talking about court cases, they're all calendared, and you got to stay on top of when things are due. And just, you have a better appreciation for how long things take when you've been doing it for a while. So it's kind of fluid. It's always fluid, and things are always changing, and there's always something new. And a lot of times there's something that you haven't heard of before. And I've just been, for me, I still see things I've never seen before. Not all the time, but pretty regularly. But I have a lot of confidence that I can figure it out, because I've been in the area for long enough, and you know how things rhyme and how things probably are going to go. And so you can figure that out, and I have a lot of confidence that I can figure things out that I've never seen before, because I do that all the time. That water project was case in point.
And the next one might be part of that same for the water project, but can you provide an example of a complex legal case you worked on and the outcome?
Well, that ended up, there was all kinds of delays. There were supply chain problems because of COVID. You got intergovernmental relation problems. The town and the city did not get along. I had to create a utility from scratch that didn't exist before. I worked a lot with the engineer. I'll give that guy credit. The engineer did quite a bit for that. And he just work until it was done. And we ran under the absolute gun. That was $1 billion project that turned into a $2 million project. We actually had to go back to the state twice to get more money because of the problems. And yeah, it just got done. I mean, you got to be dogged till it's done. I did one case, it was a litigation case. Oh, you might laugh at this, all right, but so it was a different city in the southern part of the state, and it was one of these broken developments, right? And it had just sat there forever, many years, and the developer had died. People at the city had moved on, and so I had to figure out from scratch what the problems were, what happened, what should have happened. There were a lot of problems. We did get that resolved. It was in litigation for probably 2 or 3 years, and we actually resolved it, and I kid you not, I hired Eric as the mediator because I thought he would be the best guy to do it, and he was the right guy, and we got that case settled.
Okay. What is your approach to working with city staff and officials to provide legal guidance and support?
Well, I usually, when I meet new people at a community, I usually try to ask what their experience is, just so I know how to talk to them. If you've been around quite a while and you've done a lot of things, I don't need to explain things at a basic level. If you're brand new and you've never even worked in a municipality before, then I know I got to have a lot more red flags going off as I try to guide you to do something, right? Because you just don't know what you don't know. And so I try to figure that out right away by asking that question or two. And then you know what level you're at. And part of it is you feel it out. Different places are different. Some places are like, you do it. Some places are like, I'll do it, just review it. And then it's always difficult when things happen and you never even knew what was going on. Because if you don't have a heads up, you can't even potentially warn someone about a misstep. So yeah, you feel it out, and they're all different. And they can vary from time to time and project to project. Maybe you've done something 1 million times, maybe this is a first. Yeah, it's all variable, and you just adjust to what you find.
Okay. And what steps would you take to ensure the city complies with all applicable laws and regulations?
Well, first things first, I constantly see out-of-date ordinance codes. okay? And you're constantly hamstrung if your ordinances aren't up to date. And I've gone over entire ordinance codes. I'm doing it for someone right now. And I understand, you know, you don't do that first thing out of the gate. But if you can point things out, if you find them, you know, then some momentum could kind of build and people realize that maybe we got to fix some things. It's a cost involved. So the ordinance code is kind of the first thing. There's so much of that gets out of date. Otherwise, you kind of got to just pay attention to what's going on. And I mean, just even what the meetings are doing. How are we handling things at the meeting? You kind of get a feel for it. You know, is this, you know, there are places that are oblivious, right? I'm not saying you are, but there's places you come to and they're like oblivious, and you have to kind of do that education to like walk them up to it. Like, okay, this is what we're supposed to be doing. You've got places actually that could be having an easier job sometimes if they haven't thought of a innovation or they didn't catch a law change when it happened. And you might bring that up, you know, because you see things at other places and you're doing things at other places. And so that's a benefit to, you know, a place because even if you didn't see it here, maybe you had that experience somewhere else and you can point it out and see if they want to do it.
All right, last one. Do you have any final remarks, additional information that you would like to share with the council or questions for us?
Well, I guess I wasn't sure if you guys were going to engage in any negotiations.
As far as with,
Anything. Some places do. You know, whether you were to hire me or Eric, I'm a little bit closer to him, but it's significant travel expense, right? And that's one of the downsides, right? Now, if you want someone who's an actual municipal attorney, you're probably going to have to go a little ways away. And that's why me and Eric are both here tonight, even though we're both not from the area. But if you want an actual municipal attorney, you're going to have some distance. But yeah, that is something that you could try and discuss because that's an expense, right? If you want someone at a lot of meetings, you know, you're paying for the meeting twice with that travel time. Now electronic stuff has gotten way better, right, since COVID. So there's an opportunity to do a lot of virtual things, and that's probably what you want to do. But I think you are still used to seeing an attorney at your meetings, right? So I'm conscious of that.
council, any other?
I mean, just along that same line, I'm curious when I know you guys, you firms do a lot of municipalities. I think Common Council is pretty much generally our second Tuesdays at 7.
I did look at that. That's part of the reason I applied.
How do you deal with it, even if you're doing it by Zoom?
Well, most of my other clients are on Mondays.
Are they? Okay.
Yeah, they're almost all Mondays.
All right.
So when I saw that, that's one of the things I looked at.
Okay.
Because if it was a Monday thing, I was like, I don't know. But no, you're Tuesdays, and I don't really do Tuesdays right now.
So you would be able to at least Zoom?
At least Zoom.
Because I think the schedule of meetings was in the packet, and you didn't see any issues with it?
I don't think so, because you're on Tuesdays.
Yeah, almost always on Tuesdays, yeah.
So I could come on Tuesdays even, you know.
Anybody
Do
else?
you attend quite a few meetings virtually as stated? Like, is that pretty common? Is it becoming more common with the technology available?
It's more, I mean, it used to be non-existent, right? And now you do more of that. I mean, even court is a lot more virtual than it used to be, thankfully, because you'd spend hours showing up for a 10-minute deal, and now you can zoom in often and just get it done. So a lot of things have improved that way. So yeah, we have Zoom TVs in a conference room. I mean, usually you use your computer, so it's pretty easy to do. You do during litigation, everything. But sometimes you got to show up. It's a lot easier to do that if you also are there sometimes. That's how I look at it.
So you mentioned, how many different municipalities you represent or work with, and we've been fortunate enough to have our local attorney represent us for how many years? How would you handle any issues that may come up as far as timeliness and different, we have a meeting where we have some potential litigation stuff coming up and we really need you in person and you're with another municipality. How would you handle that? Would somebody else from the firm team up for that, or how would that issue?
We do have that substitution availability to some level because there's more than me. So we do have some of that. It's not, well, yeah, say it's a day besides Tuesday, right? And I'm supposed to be somewhere else. If I've already made a hard commitment because they've got the same
Right.
level of problem, I try to keep my commitment. I've talked to people before and, how bad is it? Can we, do you need it today? Or maybe I can figure something out or call it in, So take that example. Say I needed to be here in person really badly on a Tuesday, or it's not Tuesday, it's Monday, right? Maybe I could drive here. Maybe I can find a room somewhere, call into something else virtually, still be here for this. I mean, you do double headers. You do them in person. I've done 3 in a night before, just driving around the county, hitting everything, especially if you have it set up so you can have someone in and out versus sit there the whole time. You can in and out somewhere, which is basically what virtual is, really. So you can pull some things off, yeah.
Would you be available other times? Because sometimes we do have like other committees besides city council.
Yeah,
Is that something,
Plan commission is,
right? Planning commission? It
Those
is
are the regular
Tuesdays.
ones,
That's also Tuesday.
It is, but the last Tuesday of the month.
Mhm.
Sometimes our, the BCDC committee. I don't know.
yeah, I'm not saying I won't come if it's not Tuesday. And I'm not even busy every Monday, or I don't have to go to a meeting every Monday. It's just that's the high probability where I know it's a problem to sign up for something else on that night. But yeah, I would come at, whenever you need me. I would just work out that availability. Yeah.
Matt, are you required on BCDC, or is that just like an
That is one of
extra?
my standard ones, yeah.
Okay.
Which is a 7 a.m. meeting on Tuesday.
Well, and that might have to be a virtual and figure out a way to
Yeah.
get that.
So,
Well, and also, and yes, there are the meetings that Matt attends all the time, but as we've talked about too, some meetings he wouldn't have to attend, or we could potentially put all the items that the attorney needs to address at the very beginning of the meeting so that he can jump off as soon as we've discussed whatever was, at the top of everyone's mind kind of thing. So there are ways to make it a little less burdensome if we can.
Anyone else?
But yeah, that's a big part of why guys like me and Eric are doing business all over the state, is that the local municipal attorney is kind of going away. That's true in a lot of places. So
All right. Thank you very much, Lee.
okay,
All right.
thanks for having me.
Appreciate you coming in.
Is there any reason to stay, or should I go?
I don't
I
think so.
don't think the decision is made tonight, so.
Okay.
So,
You'll just follow up if you have a question.
yep, absolutely.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you very much.
Thank
Nice to
you,
meet you.
appreciate it.
Nice meeting you.
Sure.
Hello, if you wouldn't mind, step up to the mic. Not two. All right, Eric. So I've got the list of questions that we're going to ask down, and they may have other questions as we go, just things that come up.
Perfect.
But the first one is just kind of introducing yourself.
Sure. Eric Larson. I am a municipal lawyer. I've been practicing municipal law. I graduated in 1990 and I was in a county attorney's office for a few years, practicing in that context. I also clerked for a judge, but really for my entire career since working for the county has been in the private practice of municipal law. So all I do is represent municipalities. Our firm split off from another firm about 40 years ago to concentrate on representing municipalities. Took the municipal clients and had as our focus representing municipalities. And we practiced that way with just a handful of municipalities at the time, and have just through word of mouth continued to grow that practice. Just like this, when we hear of people looking for a lawyer, they reach out to us, and we have taken those opportunities and have grown our practice so that we represent quite a number. I think it's more than 60 municipalities now as the regular municipal attorney. We also do special counsel work for municipalities throughout the state. I today was helping Wausau with something. I'm going to be going to meetings in Wausau. I've got all over the state. I've got clients in Door County, I've got clients on the north side of Winnebago, all the way down to the Illinois border. Because we are so specialized in this kind of a practice, we kind of have made a name for ourselves. When people are looking for a lawyer, thankfully they reach out to us, and we are always happy to throw our hat in the ring. So that's why I'm here. I heard of the opportunity and threw my hat in the ring, and thank you for considering me.
Second question might just be kind of a continuation of that one, but can you describe your experience in municipal law and how it applies to this position? So,
yeah, as I said, I only represent municipalities. That's all our firm does. I am the named attorney for about 20 or more municipalities. And you might think, how in the world do you have time in the day to do that? And so I can take this opportunity to explain a little bit about how that works. We have, as of somebody that started last week, I think we have 16 full-time attorneys in our office. We've got 3 that are part-time. I have a law clerk that's going to graduate in May, is going to be full-time. We all work together to represent all of our clients. There's a lead attorney who's the face, and so that would be me. I would be here for you, and I would be the one you contact, and I'd be the one that is helping you day to day. But I wouldn't be the only one doing work for the city. We, in order to serve you best and most efficiently, we will distribute that work as it comes in, and there may be other people in the office. For example, a simple one is litigation. If you've got a litigation matter, we have folks in our office that all they do is litigation, and they're expert litigators, and they're defending municipalities throughout the state. They're also suing on behalf of our clients throughout the state. That's their expertise. They don't want to do other things, and they're great at it. So Stan Riffle is one, Ramsey Batar is another, and several of our associates are continually working on the litigation side. that's a good example, but there are other sort of specialties in our office. John Macy has been sort of a guru throughout the state on alcohol beverage licensing for many, many years. And so when there are difficult alcohol beverage licensing questions, John Macy in my office would be in the loop to try to work through those kind of questions. I don't know if I answered your question, but
Yep, good.
All
right. And how would you handle a situation where city officials wanted to pursue a course of action that you believed was legally questionable?
Well, that's a good question. First of all, I believe it's legally questionable. There are a few parts to that. One part is I am just the lawyer. I always tell people, I tell you what I think the law is, but I don't have to be the one that lives with it. You're the one that's going to take my advice, and I hope you follow my advice. But if you don't, that's as long as you are making an educated decision. That's why you get elected to office, is to make the decisions. And if it means you might be crossing a line, well, that's on you. I'm going to document that I told you that I advised against it, but it's not my call. If you're crossing a line that I think is unethical, I will. That often will arise with just one member, not with the whole body. And I will try to get the message to the member that I have these concerns and try to explain what the concerns are. And provide avenues for addressing those concerns, such as getting an ethics opinion so that we can really be careful. Certainly encounter those kind of situations from time to time. I can't imagine a situation where I would feel obligated to, tell on you, make a stink to the point of talking to the media or something like that. That's not the lawyer's role, and I have never had it reach that point where I have had to call you to the table because you're doing something that I completely disagree with. Usually our disagreements are behind closed doors.
Okay. And what strategies do you use to stay current with changes in laws and regulations that may affect the city?
I believe strongly in educating the municipal bar. Through my whole career, I've been a volunteer with the Wisconsin Towns Association, the League of Wisconsin Municipalities, the Clerks Association, the Municipal Managers Association, all manner of associations where they have invited speakers and I will volunteer. State Bar of Wisconsin. I try to lift everybody up. And certainly in the municipal bar, that's especially true. I feel like we all benefit. High tide raises all boats, and I have never had any trouble sharing my samples and my recommendations with other members of municipal bar outside my firm. And I speak at conferences. I spoke at one, I think it was last week, at the State Bar on municipal contracting. So as a speaker, you have to be up on it. When you're Anybody who's ever been an educator knows you learn and you know your topic best when you have to go teach it to others. So that's one way to constantly stay on top of things, is to be constantly teaching. We have a monthly continuing legal education seminar in our office. We rotate around the office where attorneys in the office will bring to us something they're working on, some research, and will educate us so that we're all up to speed all the time on everything that's going on. I stay very active with the League of Wisconsin Municipalities. They are constantly sending out updates on changes in the law as well. We have to stay up on it because we hold ourselves out to be the experts, and so we make a very concerted effort to always be on top of changes in the law.
One second here. All right. And how do you prioritize your caseload to ensure timely resolution of legal matters? It's something that how do I prioritize them? Typically, I will get projects in the door with the expectation that I'm going to get it done within a week. So some projects that's easy. Some other projects I need to set aside the time to make sure I get that done. But as I said, it might mean that I'm not going to do some of the projects because I might be too busy. I might have an associate working with me to make sure that we can get that project done, and then I'm reviewing the work that the associate did, which is all behind the scenes. You're going to hear from me, but in order to keep the projects continually rolling through the office, it's a very rare project where it takes more than a week to turn it around. Okay. And can you provide an example of a complex legal case you worked on and the outcome? So I'm not a litigator, and the question sounds like a litigator's kind of a question. I was asked by the city of Waukesha to represent their board of review, and so in a rare litigation case, I took up the representation of the city of Waukesha board of review, and took their direction. They told me their position, and I advocated for that, and advocated all the way to the Wisconsin Supreme Court, and prevailed in the Wisconsin Supreme Court. That was a couple years ago. So that's a rare situation where I actually did do some litigation. Complex legal issues, I would say that some of the more complex legal issues that I deal with are development agreements and TID agreements, multi-million-dollar projects where I am trying to get all of the ducks in a row on complicated commercial transactions like that. And I this past year, I've probably had 3 or 4 major development projects, hundreds of units involving incentives of various kinds from the municipality. Making sure the municipality is protected, and making sure that the financial structure makes sense and doesn't place too much risk on the community. So I would say those can be a challenge in the negotiation to try to ensure that the developer's needs are satisfied, but we're not giving away the store and we're making sure the municipality is protected.
So in the negotiations, it's difficult. Also getting it on paper in a way that makes sense, getting all the documents together. And in a complex situation like that, you might have a dozen or more different legal documents associated with it.
And what is your approach to working with city staff and officials to provide legal guidance and support?
I consider myself to be part of the staff. You know, I'm not in-house, but I have always considered myself to be on the staff's side. That's one reason that I recommend you have Labor Council, which I believe is your intent. It's because I really can't come to you in an unbiased way talking about labor contracts when I'm working so closely with your staff. In order to do my job well, I have to work closely with your staff. I need to get and a good understanding of what their concerns are that they need to have addressed, no matter what the issue is, if it's a contract that the department needs, if it's a building project, whatever it is, I need to understand the staff's position on what our goals are and how we're going to accomplish these things. And I assist the staff to get those done. And by the way, I have worked with Jesse before, just full disclosure. Jesse and I worked together in Slinger several years ago.
Okay. What steps would you take to ensure that the city complies with all applicable laws and regulations?
Well, I guess it depends. I'm going to watch what's coming up. I'm going to see what's coming up on your agenda and make sure you understand the legal framework of the things that are happening. And I'll describe that in writing to you. At the meetings, I will remind you what your role is, what the limits of your authority are. And I will make sure you have the background that you need to understand those issues. As laws change, I will keep you and your staff advised of the changes in the law as they happen. We do that in a few ways, but one way is we send out something that we call a general opinion letter. It goes to all of our municipal clients. It says, you should be aware, here's a new law, here's what it means, here's how it impacts you, here's what we recommend you do. We send out those opinion letters. They might take significant amount of time to develop those opinions. It might take 20 hours, but no single one of our clients is going to want to pay me for 20 hours to develop that. What we can do, though, is we can divide that up among 60 municipalities, so everybody's paying a relatively small amount to get educated on the changing law, to get reasonably comprehensive updates on a regular basis.
Okay. And do you have any final remarks, additional information that you wish to share, or questions for the council?
Can I ask mine? I was just curious about if you attend virtually, how does that work with you being so far away? Do you have a Zoom presence typically? Do you come? How does that usually work in your situation?
So I don't try to change you. I whenever I get a client, I try to accommodate what you want. I do think that there will be some interest on your part to try to be efficient about the use of your legal services budget. And I think I think Zoom is an option, something we could look at. I also know, many of my clients, when they have a professional staff, an administrator, they won't have the attorney there, and I'm not trying to change you. If you like to have your attorney there, I'll be there, but it's all about money, right? And so you can only budget so much, and that you might decide that sending me the questions after the meeting or sending me the questions before the meeting can be a more efficient use of your legal services budget than paying me to drive out here or even attend remotely, but that's your call.
If they wanted you at meetings, don't you have a bunch of conflicts on nights pretty much with all those clients? How would you be able to attend Tuesday nights at 7 o'clock for most?
So there would be conflicts.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that. And I would ask for your permission if there's a conflict to allow me to send an associate instead. It would be an issue we'd have to consider as conflicts arise. We don't have conflicts in the sense of some developers coming before you that we've represented as a client. We're never going to have a conflict like that because we don't represent developers. But we might have time conflicts from time to time. And you're right. I do represent a lot of clients, and there are if you're going to have me here all the time, some of those times it might be an associate that I send instead with your permission.
Is it becoming more common that they're not sitting at entire meetings, it sounds like?
I would say over the past 10, 15 years, a lot of my clients have done that. You're kind of old school. You're old school in having the lawyer at all your meetings. And I have some clients like that. Village of Fox Point is like that. They have me at every single thing. City of Cudahy has me at quite a lot of their meetings. I've got a handful of others, but most of them send me projects either before or after the meeting. They will identify, here's our legal questions. Can you respond to these legal questions? And then I'll respond in writing.
Okay.
So in that case, it typically would be the staff reaching out, or Jesse, or who, like those people would reach out with the questions to you.
Yes, and it might arise in the meeting where you as the counsel say, "Hey, Jesse, ask the lawyer this question," and she'll tell me.
Any other council questions before we go to the last? All right. Then the last one would be, do you have any final remarks, additional information that you wish to share, or questions for the council here?
I guess I really don't have a sales pitch. I feel like you're looking for a lawyer. I am a lawyer. You're looking for a municipal lawyer. I am one. So I think that there's, I think we could work together well. I'd love to have the opportunity. And I look forward to hearing what you decide.
All right. Thank you for coming in. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Very good. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, sir.
All right. Okay.
Thank you.
Excuse me. All right, for now, we'll move right on to item number 7, which is to review the proposal for compensation study. The recommendation is recommend to Common Council to approve the proposal by Public Administrative Associates, LLC. Jesse, do you have anything?
Sure. So, as you probably recall from last month, we just received the one, proposal from Public Administration Associates. You've worked with them before. They're the ones who did your recruitment. I did speak to them to update this a little bit. The first, round of this, they were told to include the employees that were in the, police department's, union, and we're not going to do that just because they're already in a union and their wages are set differently than the rest of the employees. So it's been updated to represent that. There's also a piece in here that I wanted to mention. I think I put it in my memo a little bit, but they are providing some potential opportunity for them to help us get some job descriptions rewritten or in order if we need to. At this point, to be perfectly honest, I'm not sure what kind of shape all of our job descriptions are in. So I would rather just leave that open and we can talk about it later to decide if we're in good shape and don't have to do anything, or I'll get all their notes and I'll fix them if they're not terrible, or this is bad and we need help. So I kind of want to leave that part. They don't need to know that at this point, whether or not we're going to utilize them for that portion or not. They're going to collect all the information from the employees anyway. So.
The only thing that I saw on here is that I didn't notice any foreman positions in the scope of work for the positions. And I believe there's 3. One in the streets and 2 in the water.
Let me get that. Foreman positions.
I don't know if that's the exact titles of them in the water department, but I do know that there is a ladder.
So we need to make sure, and double check the list that was sent to them originally with what we have before we move forward. That makes sense.
And I just want to make sure, did we have the water department included in this?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay, they were,
they should
okay.
be just. Yep, the only employees that I believe that were in potentially excluded were your union members.
All right. And I just double checking here. So the highlighted area that talks about the total not to exceed 14,900, that was for phase 2. So that'd be in addition to phase 1. Page 10.
No, phase 2 is 6,300. The total.
The total is 14. Okay.
Yes,
That's what I
I'm not
wanted
sure
to
why they highlighted only one of the 2 phases. I'm
Yeah.
not sure.
Okay, but I just want to make sure that, so 14.9 is total.
Yes, 14,910, yes. Unless we ask them for additional help with that, but
Right.
that's not part of this approval.
Yeah. Anyone else with comment or?
Did it list in here somewhere? I know when we were talking about just making sure that we keep, oftentimes when companies like this come to us, they just rattle off municipalities that are the same size, not necessarily the same size in our location. So we always stress, certain locations, Amro, Watoma, Ripon, Green Lake, those surrounding ones. We oftentimes have, especially with Green Lake County, we have such a smaller low income ratio. And so it unfortunately brings our numbers down oftentimes. So making sure that we are comparing to a lot of those areas and not just another municipality that has the same,
Same population?
yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
I spoke to them briefly, and we did talk about that fact that it is important to not only find funds of similar size, but, we're in a specific space.
Mhm.
And, we're competing with Green Lake and Ripon and,
Right.
and those four employees. So they are aware of that, and I believe that they are going to come back to us with their list of who they're planning to
Okay.
use, so we can
Yeah.
Staff can make some suggestions.
Sure.
We don't find these particular communities on their list to start with.
Thank you.
No more questions? Anyone willing to make the recommendation to council?
Well, if Matt says I can, I'll make it.
If what?
If
Can I make a recommendation to common council for this or not?
I mean, it's only a study.
Yeah, I was gonna say, she's recommending a study, so.
I'll recommend to common council to approve the proposal by Public Administrative Associates LLC.
Who was that? I didn't.
Terry?
Terry, okay. Terry on the second. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That goes on to common council. Excuse me. All right. Item number 8 is the update regarding the request for proposals for comprehensive plan. And Tim?
Okay, well, so I have the staff report in front of you, but I guess just what I can add to this is that this will probably be something that I'll be coming back in about a month from now, and hopefully we should just be able to move ahead. That is the plan.
All right. And we already talked to council about why it was done, right? Or have we not done that here?
There was a brief
No, that was
email sent out, and then there's the brief memo here, but if anybody has any questions, basically, we were getting feedback from the consultant community that we were probably gonna get proposals that were outside of our budget with the scope as it was in the document. So we're just pulling it back and reevaluating that scope, kind of trimming it down and making sure we get exactly what it is we need so that we can hopefully stay within that $30,000 budget.
And the numbers were quite a bit higher than we were looking for, so. All right. So pretty much just the update. Any questions though? So that'll have to go back out when we have it ready. You said hopefully
So-
next month?
So we did completely pull it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep, the plan is to put it back up once we get it.
Yeah, I'd hate to have people do tons of work and then.
So now, will this go back to plan commission then before it comes back to us again?
Yes, we let them know this month that staff's working on it right now, and hopefully we can get it turned around for their next meeting.
Other questions? All right, thanks, Tim. All right, excuse me. On to item number 9, which is the review proposals for a strategic plan. The recommendation being to recommend to common council to approve a proposal.
So within your packet, you have 2 proposals. One is from CP2 and one is from Allison, I never say it right, Brunette Consulting. Normally for when we have things like this, I would make a recommendation to you to choose, and then hopefully you take that recommendation and move forward. But in this case, with the strategic plan, I honestly think that both of these proposals are really good. It's just a matter of whom you feel is going to do a better job of leading you the way that you want to be led, excuse me, the way that you want to be led. So if you read, both proposals and one of them really stuck out to you, great. If you would prefer that I try to coordinate a 10-minute Zoom with each of them so you can kind of get a feel for their leadership style, that would be fine too. I just wasn't sure because it really is, they're gonna do some strategic leadership meetings and things with the council, with staff, with the community. So it's whom you feel is going to do the best job in finding what's best for the community and working with you.
Have you talked to either one of these physically at all, or just received these?
I've just received them. I mean, I know of them, but I haven't talked to them about the actual proposal. If there's any questions or anything that you want me to take back to them, I certainly will be happy to do that.
I just had a question on Allison. When I was reading through, it just sounded a lot more like she was going to be doing like leadership coaching
Yeah,
then-
different approaches for sure
Yeah.
between the two.
Okay, I just want to make sure I was reading it right. That's
That's
the
how
way
I
to
took
do
it, was
Okay.
it was kind of a, find your strategic plan through leadership, kind of
Okay.
talking to the different leaders. And, I mean, it even sounded like she offered some kind of coaching and things,
That's what I was reading through here.
if you prefer as well, so.
I don't know, with that, I was kind of leaning towards CP2, but what do you guys think? Or did you want to hear from them in person?
Both of them are within the 15,000 that was suggested. CP2 is a little less,
12.5 to 14.
to
something like-
14.99 or something, so I mean, would you like me to reach out to have them do a presentation to
I
you,
would
or?
love a presentation, but
Okay. Is that,
Yeah, okay with that. That's something we could do for next week.
I will sure try. I mean, if they're
especially-
available.
especially when these people are going to be doing the sales pitch to the community, it would be nice to see who's going to be doing that and just their interactions.
That's true. I like that idea.
We know our community well, so I think it would be nice to be able to see them in person.
Sure. Okay, I will reach out to them and hopefully they can do it next week. Otherwise, we'll get them in going for March for sure.
Perfect.
Okay. All right. Any other comments on that one?
These were the only two, or just the top two? Okay.
These were the only two, yeah.
All right. With that, on to item number 10, which is a motion to convene into closed session pursuant to Wisconsin statutes 19.85, 1C, considering employment, promotion, compensation, all of that stuff, and Wisconsin 1985 1E, deliberating or negotiating purchase of public properties, investing public funds, and that is for the police union contract negotiations. And pursuant to 19.851, deliberating or negotiating purchase of public properties, investing in public funds, all of that. Terms and conditions to be appointed by, terms and conditions of, to be appointed city attorney contract. So it's the city attorney contract.
Yeah, sorry.
Motion to go into close.
That's a little tricky.
Second. Okay, now can we get a roll call on that, please?
Nigber.
Aye.
Oik.
Aye.
Stubby.
Aye.
Burgess. Frisball.